Hi, I'm Brad Thomas here with Vaughn Dalzell and Eric Froton for the NBC Sports Live Q&A. Thank you guys for joining. If you have questions, be sure to drop them in the chat as we go through the biggest games and our best bets. Guys, we talked yesterday. Yesterday's show was fun. What was your favorite thing about the Black Friday betting?
I'll let you go first, Eric. I know you probably have a lot that you liked last night.
I definitely enjoyed those early games where the Baylor-Texas game, frankly, you like it when you get the game script right, and I feel like we were pretty close. Ben Sims went under 28.5 yards. He only had one catch for 14. Craig Squirrel Williams, he was at 80.5 rushing yards. He only got 3 carries. That has been really a chopped-up backfield. Richard Reese, Kalen Jones. So, those went well, and you like when you get off to a nice early start. But definitely want to say thank you to Casey Thompson. Didn't even finish in positive rushing yardage territory. We had 10.5. He was negative. It wasn't ever in doubt. And those are what we like. Those nice, easy ones. So those all went great. Jack Charbonnet, he obviously we got him a little earlier. We got him lower at 114. He was at 122.5. He was 3 yards away. And he got banged up on the last drive, and they proceeded to feed Colson Yankoff. What an amazing name, by the way. Colson Yankoff Smirnoff. They proceeded to absolutely feed him all the way down the field. And then when they needed, it was like 4th and 2, 3rd and 1, they break out Charbonnet. He literally would be limping onto the field and carry it. And somehow he made an incredible run to pretty much ice the game, where he had like 6 guys hanging on him, and he still powered through them to get the first down. I mean, I love Charbonnet and everything. I just wish he could stay on the field for one more carry. So,
shout out to UCLA.
Yeah,
shout out to UCLA.
Big win yesterday.
Big win.
I know Brad was on that yesterday too. So 2-unit win for the UCLA.
Let's go.
A couple great games yesterday. NC State upset North Carolina. OT thriller. Drake May is definitely going to be my Heisman pick next year.
Yes,
we had
100%.
Florida State game was insane. And then also,
it was incredible, that game.
If you didn't catch that ending to the wildest ending to a game yesterday, Boise State and Utah State. Utah State was one of our only losses yesterday. They had a potential to win the game with 1 minute and 30 seconds left, down by 5. They lost the game by 19 and didn't cover.
Crazy.
Incredible effort by Utah State to not cover that spread. But great day yesterday. I think we all had winning days, so let's keep it rolling, man. I feel a great day
was great.
from us three.
Yesterday was great. Without further ado, you guys might want to know why we're all swagged out. We're celebrating the birth of Bradley Thomas, but more importantly, we are celebrating rivalry week. We got the Crimson Tide. We got USC down there. Vaughn, who's your squad? I didn't know.
Well, today it's going to be UTEP.
All right, UTEP. UTEP, I'm all about it.
You make it run to the border. Texas, El Paso. Here comes
Texas, El Paso. Let's get into the first game. The game, Michigan at Ohio State. Michigan is a 8.5-point dog after winning this game last year. Total set at 56.5. From what I've heard, everyone from Michigan is available. Eric, I'm going to start it off with you. What do you like in this game?
Yes, they say everyone is available. We saw Blake Corum get banged up at the end of last week. So forgive me if I express appropriate skepticism anytime a head coach in college tries to give an injury report or lack thereof. Spare me. That being said, this is key. You have to have Blake Corum out there if you're 100%. Michigan. Obviously, Donovan Edwards had a couple of good games, but he's an incredible pass catcher. He is legitimately one of the top 5 pass catching backs in the country. But, as we saw with him before, there's a reason why he's being used primarily in that role. It's because he isn't as savvy, isn't as polished as Blake Corum when it comes to running on the interior. So I really do think that is vital component to this game. But when we're going to, my actual plays, I do lean, obviously, Ohio State. It's at 8.5 now. Gosh, it was at 8 before we even started the show. It's starting to tick up. I do think this will be a 2-score victory. I just think they have too much, and they can do it on both sides. And with Michigan, they're good on a per play basis when it comes to their passing acumen. JJ McCarthy has done a credible job. But last week against Illinois, we saw him. he didn't look ready for the task, and he's got to come in there now against Ohio State. Again, we've said this name plenty of times. Jim Knowles from Oklahoma State has really turned that defensive unit around, and now they have to go and potentially, if you can't run the ball and they're going to be one-dimensional, with a banged-up Blake Corum, that is a death knell for the Wolverines, in my opinion. I'm going to back Ohio State, and then also I'm going to back the under on Julian Fleming, wide receiver, Ohio State. He is at 40.5 receiving yards. That's on FanDuel. He's at 36.5 on DraftKings. We're obviously going to take the higher number here. He's taking the under. We've seen him at the beginning of the season, first 5 games that he played, it was good. I mean, he caught a touchdown literally each of his first 5 games, but then he got banged up a little bit against Michigan State in week 6, and we've seen that effectiveness kind of wane. All right, so over the past 4 games, we'll start with week 9, Penn State, 2 of 3 for 27. Northwestern, 1 of 8 for 7, a drop. Indiana, 2 of 5 for 24, another drop. And then last week against Maryland, 2 of 3 for 30. That's a downward trend that I'm really concerned about because we've seen Cade Stover, their tight end, really emerge as the safety blanket option for Ohio State. And that's kind of the role that we've seen a little bit with Julian Fleming because he's a big target. And he can, he does a good job of using his body to box out defenders when they need to get a nice 10-yard completion. So with him, his interest winning, with the emergence of Cade Stover, obviously we'll have, I would think JSN will be back to some, well, who knows with JSN, but we'll have Igbuka. We'll have Marvin Harrison. You have an excellent Michigan secondary. I just think where you have all those factors in play, it's hard for me to back a tertiary option who has already had poor performance over the past 4 weeks and is trending downwards.
Yeah, no, I agree, actually. So if you were to ask me to take a side in here, it'd have to be Ohio State. And you touched on it a lot. These 2 teams are pretty even. And, when me and Vaughn did our Betting the Big Ten show, I was expecting, a little bit more clarity of the Blake Corum situation. Mm-hmm. But, as it lingered through today, saying the health is wealth in college football, he's not going to be, I don't even think 80 or 70%. He is the man. He is the engine to that Michigan team. I think Ohio State has a chance to absolutely lay the hammer. And what's crazy about this is Ryan Day, if he gets up on this team, there's no chance that he's taking his foot off the gas, especially after they were embarrassed last year. And all they had to do all year was hear about Michigan beating them. I have friends and family up in Columbus who all they talked about for 365 days was how terrible Michigan fans were to them. This is why we love these rivalries. These teams hate each other. They want to win. They want to blow each other out. I'm actually going to be on the under because I don't expect much coming from this Michigan side. And we do have to be pretty realistic. Michigan still has a very good defense. I think this is going to be one of those great Big Ten cold weather games. Where, these 2 teams that hate each other, they're tackling hard on defense. We're not seeing a lot of big plays. So under 57, I ended up putting this in my article. I ended up putting this on Betting the Big Ten. So that's what I like here. Vaughn, what do you like in this game?
Yeah, this game is going to be tremendous. I've been staying away from all the 12 o'clock noon games for the most part. Very trappy slates, in my opinion, but strong lean to Ohio State minus the 8 here. I agree with you guys. I think Ryan Day is going to try and just run up the score as much as he can on this defense. Their team total is sitting at 33.5. It's a number that Ohio State has hit continuously this year. But like you said, Brad, Michigan's defense is a lot better than most of the defenses Ohio State has played. So I like OSU minus the 8. I like the under 57 as well with you. I think those are both the right angles of taking this game. But I have much better games on much smaller teams worth betting today. So that's why we put my money.
I will say that the games today to this rivalry week are going to be very sharp. This is a very highly bet and highly watched weekend for college football. So it's smart to pick your spots. Let's go to best bets. Eric, man, I will say I have to tip my cap to you, man. 10-2. What's your best bet for today?
All right, we're making up for Jaden Delora. I feel bad about yesterday. I especially the employee that laid that line over at DraftKings, or excuse me, at FanDuel at 235.5. I advise you should be escorted out the building. Maybe it's me who should be escorting out the building with my.
I hammered that line.
I know what. Well, what happened in that game is just simply Arizona State's rush defense was so pathetic. They're just like, oh, hey, here you go. They run out DJ Williams was getting carries and ripping off chunk runs. Are you kidding me? They had everybody. Everybody ran wild for Arizona. Arizona State couldn't stop them on the ground, so they didn't even have to throw. That was the unfortunate thing, is this Arizona State was so pathetic that we didn't factor that in. That being said, okay, we got Purdue at Indiana. I love Indiana. I love them. They've been a freaking dream this year when it comes to taking players who are talented against, taking overs for Indiana. The reason why is they are the number one fastest paced team in the entire country. Indiana. Now it doesn't make sense, because how can a team that is objectively just fails to move the ball at any sort of a responsible rate can be the fastest playing team in the country? Doesn't make sense. 130th in the pass. 130th. They're the second worst passing team in the country, Indiana, right? When it comes to their defense too, and this is the play that we're going to be going with, they are very good against the rush. It's literally the one thing they do well that is less than 100th in terms of their ranking when it comes to offense and defense. They can stop the run. They're 37th overall. It's borderline amazing, because they're 111th against the pass. Okay, 43% success rate allowed, 8 yards per pass. That's 106th in the country allowed. Just objectively horrible at anything stopping the pass. Today they're playing Purdue. Okay, we know what Purdue wants to do, and they want to run. They want to throw the ball. All right, and if you look at Aiden O'Connell and you look at his game log, it's important to take a look and realize that when it comes to him playing against the upper tier teams of the Big Ten, he doesn't do so well. You'll see him. He will be under the 250-yard mark on a regular basis of that, because, look, it's Purdue. They don't recruit like Ohio State does, like Michigan, right? Case in point, what I mean here. So Iowa, 168. Illinois, 237. Minnesota, 199. Okay? Totally understandable. Great defenses. But you're going to take a look. Wisconsin threw from the 319 against Wisconsin. 46 passes. Nebraska, 391. Maryland, 360. Syracuse, 424. Penn State, 365. Okay, big crooked numbers. The reason why this line is at 274 is because the last time they played was against Northwestern, and there was winds whipping all over the place in that stadium. They only threw the ball 24 times. They didn't have to do anything against Northwestern. They were completely inept. He threw 2 touchdowns. It was only for 153 yards. Okay, we're in Indiana today. There's no slow-paced Northwestern team. Okay, this is Indiana. They're humming. They're moving. And they are absolutely terrible when it comes to efficiency on offense. You're going to see Purdue get the ball as much as they want. Aiden O'Connell's going to be able to throw all he wants. I'm also backing 87.5 on their number one wide receiver, Mr. Charlie Jones, Iowa transfer. He's been under that past 2 weeks. We know, before he got hurt, he did that every single game. He was over 100, and now we have Indiana. I am spraying that passing attack with Aiden O'Connell as well as Charlie Jones today.
I like that. I'll move over to my best bet. It's Alabama versus Auburn, the Iron Bowl, one that a lot of people aren't going to watch, 22-point spread. I'm going Jermaine Burton over 40.5 receiving yards. If you guys saw this number, I was hoping to get somewhere around 42 when it came out, and I was shocked to see 40, because a lot of people are going to think about what happened throughout the year. Jermaine Burton came to Alabama from Georgia and pretty much felt like an afterthought, right? And then Ja'Cory Brooks had his little bit of rise, and teams started to game plan against Ja'Cory Brooks, and Jermaine Burton started to get the targets that he deserved. Over 100 yards last game. We had like 7-8 targets in the game before that. It is now Jermaine Burton's, time to shine against this Auburn team, who I think is going to let Alabama score 30-plus points. This is a good spot for Burton, a number that was, lower than my projected total for him. It was an absolute must take for me. The only way I see Jermaine Burton not, hitting this number is if there's a lot of turnovers on the Auburn side and Alabama get up early and don't have to throw the ball, kind of like that Mississippi State game. But I don't see that happening. This is a rivalry. Both teams hate each other. Auburn has some big news with Hugh Freeze possibly being their next coach. So they're going to be up and ready to play this game regardless of how their record looks this year. Let's move over to you, Vaughn. What's your best bet?
Well, before we say, speaking of new coaches, Matt Rule taking over as Nebraska.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, no longer Carolina Panthers head coach. Now he's taking to Nebraska. Our guy, Scott Frost, who's our photo of our group text. We'll have to change it to Matt Rule now.
Yeah, we will.
But my best bet today, I teased it. We're getting grimy. We're getting swaggy. It's Brad's birthday, so we're getting dirty. We're taking the UTEP Miners plus 17, ladies and gentlemen, as our best bet. Listen, big motivation spot for the Miners. They're playing the UTSA Roadrunners here. Roadrunners already got their signed, sealed, delivered to their conference championship. They are not playing for anything today besides a home game for UTEP. What do they need today? They need a win. A win gives them bowl eligibility. Okay, so this is a max desperation, max motivation spot for UTEP. When you look at the last 4 times since 2014 that UTSA has been the home team, UTEP has actually covered 3 of the 4 times, and they've won twice outright as plus 410 and plus 310 underdogs. So, yes, you are going to give me UTEP plus 17. You're also going to give me UTEP plus 650 on the money line today. Do or die. We hit Hawaii. We hit Hawaii last week at 310 and 340. We're going to double that and go to 650 now on UTEP. That's the best bet of the day. I'm taking my sunglasses off now.
I love that. Let's move over to the People's Parlay. Vaughn, you get to start us off with your GOAT. Who is it?
San Diego State, baby. I love these guys. I absolutely love these guys. All right. I mean, they're taking on Air Force today. We're going to go with the money line and get that plus 110 money. They're 5-1 on the money line this year at home. They've won 5 straight games at home since week 1. And you look at the defense, 24th in rushing defense, 33rd in total defense, 3rd in red zone defense, which is very crucial against an Air Force team that does well in the red zone. If they hold them to field goals, San Diego State is going to win this game. So neither team is actually playing for a Mountain West Conference championship. This is no look-ahead spot for neither team. So really, give me the home team that's been hot and, keep riding the Aztecs, like I said.
I'm on Vanderbilt plus 14. We know the engine that runs this Tennessee team is out for the season. Unfortunately, this is a scary line. Like, if you look, this is, one of the worst passing defenses in college football, one of the worst rush defenses in college football, one of the teams you don't want to bet. But for me, this is a game in a team in Tennessee who had the win taken out of their sails. They lost their best player. They lost their chance at the college football playoffs. And honestly, the worst, in my opinion, passing defense in college football. I do think Vanderbilt's going to do enough here, and I think that the motivation factor for Vanderbilt's way higher than it is for Tennessee. It's going to be a sad showing for Tennessee. So, unfortunately, I think Tennessee is actually a live dog to lose. I mean, a realistic chance to lose this game. I even looked at the computer projections in this, and it was 35-31 Tennessee. So anytime you get a close game, a massive money line like this, I think I got to take the points here.
I'm with you.
Wow, Vanderbilt. A couple good games. Win upset over Florida, and here we are. Who would have known at the beginning of the season we'd be sitting here? Oh yeah, we're gonna take Vanderbilt to take out Tennessee.
Yeah,
but here we are.
Week 0 was the best bet of the season on them, and we were like, "That's all we're betting on Vanderbilt."
That's right, exactly. We're like, okay, that's it. But here, hey, good for them. It's always good to see the lower rung teams. Always happy to see them succeed.
Yes.
But for my best bet, I am going. We just mentioned them. We just mentioned Hawaii. I'm going Hawaii over 58 points. It's Hawaii and San Jose State. All right, and the reason why for this is both these teams have been trending upwards in terms of how they played offensively. Over the past couple of games, San Jose State, they both played Utah State, and it was shootouts, each of them. 35-31 last week, Utah State beat San Jose State. Week before that, our boys, San Diego State, 43-27 over San Jose State. San Jose State allowed 43 points to San Diego State. That's difficult to do, but they did. And then on Hawaii's side, the same thing. They played Utah State. They lost Utah State 41-34. So both of these teams have proven to be pretty passive, in terms of their defensive acumen. I mean, obviously, we know Hawaii, too. Even 3 games ago, they got beat 55-13 by Fresno. That's fine, too. So I just think with each of these defenses having pretty much checked out over legitimately the last month, this is a good solid over spot. It's a reasonable number at 58. I think you definitely see at least one of these teams getting in the 30s, probably both. Yeah. I'm in. Give me that, and let's parlay this, boys.
Let's parlay it. Wow, let's get this money. Listen, we have just like a few weeks left of the season. I'd love to hit this one because this is the biggest odds that we've had on a people's parlay at plus 649. Ooh. Yes, let's answer some of these questions. See if we got any here. Has anybody looked at this one? Do we like any of the FanDuel college football specials? I didn't look at the specials here. I actually didn't look at any specials with so many question marks, but I'll pull them up real quick. Let's see.
Yeah.
We all like to look at specials. Yeah. In other words, the ladder plays so we can get a little action. Sure. Let's take a look at this.
We got an odds boost. I don't know if this is just for Connecticut or not, but we got Ohio State and Oregon each to win, with Alabama to win by 14 plus points.
I like that.
It's plus 270. So
I like that one.
Pretty good odds.
As you know, I'm on JJ McCarthy, 11.5 rushing yards, the over.
Yeah.
Vaughn and I literally played this morning, and after we put it in, and it went right up to
16.5.
16.5 is where it's at now.
Yeah.
Well, his alt line is at 25 plus yards rushing. It's plus 172. You could take a look at that, but that's a quarterback rushing prop, and as we know, if he gets sacked, which it's entirely possible he gets sacked, that could be an issue. I will say, FanDuel has now put up Blake Corum. Okay, we don't have an alt line
62.
On him.
Wow.
What is it? 62. Look, we just went and talked about this game, and that wasn't there before the show. I had gone over it.
It wasn't. Yeah.
Dude, if you're gonna, I'd love to have an alt line on him. If you're gonna hang him at 62, give us an alt line so we can try to make the most of it. But I mean, that's pretty reasonable if he's playing, which apparently he is. They're saying everything right. While I'm not particularly bullish on Michigan in general beating Ohio State, 62.5 yards. That's like half of what he's been hung at all year long, and they have to run the ball if he's in. It's like, I feel like you take a shot at that. A little sprinkle on the over just because it's a play.
We were on Chase Brown's under last week because of the same situation with Blake Corum's kind of facing, and then Chase Brown went off against Michigan. So, I wouldn't shock me to see Blake Corum hit 100 yards today, even 80 yards.
Yeah.
Chase Brown was still up at 120. This is half of it. He was at 120.5. It went down. He's at 130. It went down to 120. And it's like, all right, well, if you're going to literally make me take it, then I'll sprinkle on it.
Yep. Let's move over to the money line sprinkles for me. I'm going Notre Dame over USC. We already know that this USC team is god awful defensively, but what I love about this Notre Dame team is their physicality at the point of attack. I think this is going to be the most physical team that USC play all year, unless they make it to the college football playoffs. I also think that Drew Pine is going to shine. So I bet him over 197.5 passing yards. Beautiful money for me for Pine. I think he throws and has a massive game against this terrible USC defense. What do you have in your money line sprinkles, Vaughn?
Oh, I got a lot today. I'm not going to lie.
Oh,
I do like Notre Dame. Well, I only got a lot because we have to hedge too today. We got the UCF win total. We got the Marshall win total. So with that being said, I have to play Georgia State at 2-1 odds to hedge out Marshall just in case. I have to play South Florida at 7-1 odds, which is a very easy hedge on UCF's win total. So those are two that I have to play. Obviously, I gave out UTEP earlier. San Diego State, I got them +2. We're going to take that money line in the People's Parlay. So the only one I haven't really covered that I guess is a play is Iowa State. I know we're going to cover this game in depth, but I mean, guys, TCU is not going undefeated. I'm going to keep saying it. They're going to lose at some point, and Matt Campbell is a king. Crown him a king of a double-digit underdog, all right, especially in conference play. So we're going to take the Cyclones today.
Yeah, Vaughn, I love that Cyclones play. I am also going to, definitely sprinkle on the +10 for the Cyclones. Reason being, again, like I said, the charmed life that TCU has been living over this entire season it's been mind-boggling. But the thing was with Iowa State and with those points, they have an incredible defense. And it's something that because their offense has been so terrible, like 129th in terms of rushing overall, because they lost Breece Hall, number one running back selected in the NFL draft. And you're not going to have him go down and then just have a true freshman like Artavius Norton or Jarrell Brock just file in after losing also a lot of their offensive line because they were all super seniors. So, but the thing is with Iowa State is they play close games. Their defense is awesome. Top 10 defense nationally. For my money, I think they're the best in the Big 12. I think they've borne that out, frankly, with their performance. And they play close games. Like, they suppress teams' explosiveness. It keeps everything tight. So with Iowa State just not losing, they don't lose by double digits.
Yes.
They're going to win or they're going to grind it out on you. I love this spot. +10. I think they keep it close. It's not like TCU's been blowing people out either. They've had to rely on their defense the past 3 weeks. They, when their offense stalled a little bit. We saw the Texas game. All those factors. Give me that. I love +10 for that.
Yeah, and the 10's just a great number too. Matt Campbell, 14-3 ATS is a double-digit underdog. He's 11-1 ATS in Big 12 play as a double-digit underdog, which is phenomenal. And the only weird thing about Iowa State, which you made a great point, Eric, saying about how the Cyclones suppress explosive plays. Iowa State has been trash in the red zone defense. They're like 106, 105th. They let up more touchdowns than field goals. But when you go from the 1 to the 20 on the other side of the field, they've been great. So it's just when you get inside the 20, you're probably going to score in Iowa State, but they do a great job of keeping teams outside the 20. So really that's what we got to key in on here. And Max Duggan hasn't looked as efficient the past 3 weeks as he had the first 8 to 10 weeks of the season. So let's go Cyclones.
I wonder if we're going to see a big game out of Miller after last week. It's kind of interesting to see because I think the Cyclones defense is good enough to keep him stifled again for back-to-back weeks.
I do. And the other thing is he was banged up last week. That's why he didn't perform so well. If you notice, like he got dinged up. Yeah. Jocelyn got dinged up, as did Darius Davis, who is the fastest player on their team. He's a real big play guy, Darius Davis. They like to line him up in the slot. He's also an incredible return man. So all three of them are expected to play. But again, of course they're expected to play. They got to win so they get a playoff spot. They got to have all hands on deck. They could just be saying that too. So I am exercising appropriate skepticism when it comes to me looking at Kenry Miller and his ability to get over 109 or so.
And we got a question from one of our favorite viewers here. This is going to be one that's going to move quickly, so we got to get to this.
Hindu
Kush. You know it's him. He wants to know, Blake Corum, this is a great middle opportunity. Woo! I love the over. I'm scared of the under, but I think it's a great middle opportunity. You guys agree?
I love that middle.
I think it's a good middle opportunity.
62 to 82 and a half. You got a 20 yards right in that range. Oh, I can say Ohio State. All right, so you lay a little vig. I've played a couple middles over the past few weeks because we have such huge line discrepancies. It's like something I think about where you hear how people with the games, as you guys have, Vaughn had mentioned it. If you get a 6.5, and then it crosses over the threshold to 7.5, a lot of people will just bet that on the key number. Yeah. When you're talking about props and you're getting 20 yards on a rushing prop with passing, as we talked about it last week, I got 50 yards on a passing prop with Peyton Thorne that we put in, Vaughn, so it's all about shopping these lines. It's a completely different world with the props than the uniformity that we see in the sides. So, Hindu Kush, good work, my friend. How to go and shop your lines. Go and grab that middle, and let's see how that goes. Big props. Appreciate you too, Hindu Kush. You've been one of the steadies. So
yes, yes. Yeah, we're gonna get those when we get the viewer bets next year. Hindu Kush has got to be in one of them, man. We got to get the viewer parlay. Steel City.
Marty too. Marty's in. But
absolutely. Marty's guaranteed in. Marty's a sharp.
Locked. That's locked.
Steel City's finest. You can get DraftKings, FanDuel, Caesars. Those are the main three. Prize Picks has a lot of them. You have to parlay those.
Yep.
And just shout out to being a Yinzer, Steel City's finest, 412. That's my city too. So you're a Yinzer, baby. Let's get it.
I will also say on the player props, as you mentioned, there are places that even if you can't get DraftKings, even if you can't get FanDuel, which 20 or so states can't, maybe even more, especially the college props, it gets a little dicey. Some states won't do it, but you always have Prize Picks, and also Underdog Fantasy has been offering props. However, the rub, as Vaughn mentioned, is they have to be parlayed. You have to do at least a 2, 3, 4, max 5 side parlay on the player props. So that's the way that, as we've discussed on this show, these are a loss leader for the books. All right. So FanDuel, DraftKings, they're in a turf war. Those are the two biggest books in the entire United States right now, and they want their market share. So they're willing to let people sign up and hit those college football player props and beat them up for a little bit in order to get those users. However, what we've noticed, what I've certainly noticed, because I'm in California, I have to use proxies. I've seen if you try to open up an unseasoned account on DraftKings, they're coming for you. And you only bet props, you only bet college player props, you only play those, you're going to get that account shut down in 2 weeks.
And limited quick.
Quick. I mean, I'm limited on FanDuel. Yeah, limited to. You'll get that. They've been a little more aggressive in the later part of the season in terms of limiting stuff. Yeah. So you definitely want to be aware of that. But there's a cap on Prize Picks and there's a cap on Underdog, probably like $500, I believe, per play. But that's pretty good when you're talking about parlaying. Yeah. Unless you're a big baller, respect.
$500 parlay is a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot. So. That's the general landscape of what you'd be looking at for DraftKings, FanDuel, BetMGM, et cetera, compared to Underdog, Prize Picks, Bet Builder, stuff like that.
Yeah. That was a good question. I use offshore, and I have my beautiful friends, place them for me, FanDuel, all those, and of course, love Prize Picks. But before we continue on, this is a pretty good segue here. I'm going to invite everyone to play Notre Dame Pick'em, Irish Pick'em. Play college ball Pick'em on the NBC Sports Predictor app for your chance to win $10,000. It's free and it's easy to play. From first downs to touchdowns, you can win big. Free to enter with plenty of cash prizes. Go download the NBC Sports Predictor app. And talking about the Irish, we're going to talk about Notre Dame at USC. USC is a 4.5-point favorite. Total set at 63. Kick us off, Eric, with your favorite prop from this game.
Oh yeah, well this is a player that in the preseason, full disclosure, I had shares of this gentleman, and a lot of preseason hype. They were looking for somebody in that Notre Dame receiver room to take over the vacated Kevin Austin role from last year, which is sort of that downfield sideline threat, which helps open up the middle for Michael Mayer, who is, the engine of the passing attack, of course. Yeah. But that never materialized for Lorenzo Styles. It never happened. And he got his ample opportunities, without a doubt. First 7 weeks of the season, he's getting at least 5 targets in 5 of them. Since then, from weeks 9 on, we'll go week 7 on, okay? Stanford, this is when he really started kind of dipping. 6 targets, 2 catches, a drop, 15 yards receiving. UNLV, the following game, 2 of 4, 15 yards, a drop. Syracuse, 1 of 2, 5 yards. Clemson, 3 weeks ago, 1 target, didn't catch any. He dropped it. He dropped his only target. Navy, 2 of 2 for 14. Last week, Boston College, 1 target on 10 routes. Okay? Against Clemson, 3 routes. He just isn't out there, guys. You have to be on the field to catch passes. And if he isn't trusted, and clearly Tommy Rees, their offensive coordinator, doesn't trust him, then how can he be out there? He was at 29.5 on FanDuel. He's at 25.5 now. He hasn't hit 25.5 since basically September. Okay, I can't. I have to hit this. And I hit it pretty hard. So 25.5. Lorenzo Styles under. Get it.
Let's ride. Vaughn, do you have a play in this game?
I do not. I saw that play and I looked at the box scores and all his routes ran. I was like, yeah, that's a great play by Eric. So I tell that. I do real pivot because I know you have a play, but
Yep.
I want to throw out a squad ride play because we haven't had a squad ride in a while.
Okay.
And I think Aiden O'Connell should be our squad ride today.
Yeah, let's
Someone
squad
said he's
ride.
on Barstool at 268.5.
Woo!
But I know Eric got the 274.5. But what do we say? Are we squad riding here?
Yeah, let's do this.
I'm in.
Let's do this.
Let's go. All
Let's
right,
make
on
the
my
tweet.
card, then.
Make the tweet.
right.
Squad ride.
I got you going. All
What
right,
up?
go ahead.
All right, yeah. So I'm on Drew Pine with the Y, over 197.5 passing yards. This is a gross, dirty play because Drew Pine, he has the games where he throws for 110 yards. But this is just a pure fade of this USC defense. USC's defense, we know all about them. Their defensive success rate against the pass, 102nd. Oh my God. Their EPA margin for defense, 109th. I don't need Drew Pine to go out there and be Patrick Mahomes. I just need Drew Pine to go out there and do what he knows he can do against this terrible USC defense. So I'm not worried about his past performances in some of these games. Like some of these, like they're excusable. Like, that game where he played against BC where the weather was god awful.
Awful, horrible.
Yeah, like terrible. So I'm backing him over 100. I think he gets to the 200 mark pretty easy, pretty early. So then we're just going to be kind of bored. We're like, oh, our bet's already cashed. We're sitting here with money on our account. Now what do we do?
How boring.
Yeah, how boring.
Absolutely. Well, Brad, I like this play. Obviously, I'm on the under of styles. That's a different ballgame. When it comes to Pine, USC's defense is one of the great anomalies of this season, in my opinion. Like I've been dorking out on him a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you realize that even though USC has a 48% success rate allowed, that's every other play is a successful play. That's horrible. That's 119th in the country, 13th worst in the country. So even though they are objectively terrible on that front, 86th in terms of suppressing explosiveness, 99th in points per drive, 103rd in yards per play. All right. They're allowing teams to mount drives on them.
It's crazy.
What they do incredibly well, and it's the reason why they're undefeated, and it's an anomaly. They lead the entire country with 18 interceptions, USC. So they go and they get lit up all the way down the field. And then they make a play. And it's amazing. Like the timing of them, I obviously, I like USC. Yeah. It's been supernatural, like the spots that they've gotten these plays. It's almost divine intervention. But plus 21 in turnover margin, next closest team is plus 14 in the country.
It's crazy.
7 turnovers better than every other team in the country. Like, that's a lot of luck involved in that. And you're playing against a Notre Dame team who we obviously know can play deep, and over the last 5 weeks or so, like they've really put it on. So I think that they're obviously going to try to slow this game down. They don't want to let USC go and just have willy-nilly to score left and right. So
sure.
I just think with their defense being so soft, relying on the turnovers, look, fine. Throw a couple picks. We don't care.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Yeah.
Throw yardage. I hope they're down 20. Fine.
Yeah.
Throw. So I like the potential game script and how this is going to go down.
Yeah.
I'm with you, my brother. Let's go.
Let's get
Birthday boy Brad Thomas.
Anytime I get an endorsement from Eric on a prop, I just start dancing. Like we spend a lot of time researching these, watching film and stuff, and then like for some reason, I just feel way more comfortable when you're like, yeah, love it. I'm like, let's go.
Let's go. Let's do this. We're on.
Let's answer this question from the Wake Forest alumni. I know he's itching to bet this game. Do we think Wake minus 3.5? Is it worth laying the points, or is the over 67.5 really in play? Dude, I'm 100% on the over.
I like Duke.
I'm betting the game. I like Duke to win outright, unfortunately. Duke has been a great squad. I wasn't prepared for this. I don't have my chart up for this with any of the numbers on here, but from a watching football perspective, I think Duke's a live dog here. What's your thoughts on this, Vaughn?
No, absolutely. I mean, Duke has been one of the biggest surprises in all of football this year. Like Duke and Kansas football, what happened? I mean, these teams have been awesome all season long. I'm going to pull up what the spread was last year when these two teams met because that'll really tell you what the story is. I'm assuming Wake Forest had to be laying over 20 points. So Wake Forest was a 16.5 home favorite last year, won 45-7. Now the spread is 3.5. That is an absolute Duke Blue Devils spot.
Yeah.
All right. The spread is all over Duke. I'm looking at it right now on DK. It's 3.5 juice to minus 120. So that's coming down to a 3 shortly. So yeah, this is definitely a Duke spot. They're allowed to win this game outright, and that's absolutely what the spread and the books are telling you.
Yeah, sure. When it comes to me, with Duke, Mike Elko is now the head coach, and he is the reason why this team has completely turned around. This is a defense-oriented team. Obviously, They want to run the ball and they want to stop the run. 18th in rushing, 15th against the run. So this is this is meat and potatoes. Defensive coordinator takes over a team. This is how he wants to have his identity. But problem is they don't stop the pass very well. Like 86 against the pass, 77th in terms of yards per pass. Wake Forest is averaging 9 yards per attempt. I mean, it's 6th in the country in terms of, behind Sam Hartman. His over-under is at 324.5 on the passing yardage. I did not play it because Duke plays slow, 111th in terms of pace. And we know that's not what Wake Forest wants to do. I think this is a classic style spot. Duke 111th in pace. Wake Forest 12th in pace.
Yep.
Neither team can stop the pass, period. Wake Forest is dreadful, 108th. But Wake Forest can't run either.
No.
This is a weird game. So, this is why I kind of stayed away from it. I actually lean a little bit Duke. And I lean a little bit.
Let's go.
We all lean Duke.
Because they're slow, and they're a really good defensive team. We've seen Sam Hartman recently, even against Louisville, he had problems. He had 3-4 interceptions. It's not like he's been just, plug and play every single week. There are some problems. And he had Jamal Banks and Donovan Green last week. I don't think they suited up. I know that they were banged up. There could be some conjecture in terms of their availability. I can't believe it. Duke.
I think it's Duke.
I think Duke's the play. I'll say the one stat that backs the over because I know Eric's definitely making a case for both defenses being bottom seller teams. The over is 6-1 in the last 7 when Duke is an underdog in conference play.
Wow.
So, and them being the home team,
points, that's a big number.
That is huge. I mean, I felt way more comfortable playing Arizona State over 66 yesterday compared to this one, just because, like you said, Duke, they're the home team. They can control this pace, and if they force some turnovers, the under probably will hit.
Yeah, I feel that way.
Let's get it. Vaughn, we have a question specifically for you.
Oh,
go ahead and tackle this one.
Oh, baby boy. You know it. They're on my list of teams I'm thinking about adding. We got some time till that game starts, but I just keep seeing North Texas at 14, and I'm like, man, they could win this game by at least 3 touchdowns. Rice is not a good road team whatsoever. We've been fading teams like Rice, Florida Atlantic, Florida International. When they're not a home team, they are straight fade. So, while I haven't given out North Texas yet, I will likely tweet that one today because I played it already, but I didn't know if I wanted to give it out. So, Colby, you're forcing my hand, my guy.
Love
green.
it.
Okay.
Love it. Hey, question for you, Eric. Styles down to 19.5 on FanDuel. Is that still a play?
Oh, man. Oh. Well, as I stated, on FanDuel, they were generous enough to hang that at 29.5. It was 25.5 when the show started. I know. I looked at them this morning. Here we are, 19.5. Gosh. That's 10 yards below where I played it. That's 33%, 35% below the opening line at 29.5.
I'm close.
I'm gonna lay off. Gosh, you're getting into that. You're getting into dicey territory now with the 19.5. So it looked a lot better at 29.5. But at the same time, he hasn't even been out there.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's okay for half a unit play.
Yeah. Moderate it. Don't go crazy on it because as we did discuss, USC has pretty terrible when it comes to allowing yardage. But if you're not out there in the field, you can't catch any passes.
Yeah, and I just locked in North Texas. I just placed it on DraftKings on my computer. So it's official now, Colby. I felt like I felt like that was my. I don't even know what the word I'm looking for is, but it was telling me to go play that play because I've been looking at it for days. But the Mean Green, 15-4 ATS in their last 19 games. I mean, does it get any better than that? Not really.
Yep. Trust your goats. Let's go tackle our remaining bets while we still have some time. I've actually cashed out a bet, so we'll kick it to Eric first. Go ahead with your give us one of your remaining bets, and then you can.
One of my many. Yeah, I've got a few here to rifle through. I am going to start with Braden Willis, Oklahoma tight end, and the reason why I like this one, it's pretty. I mean, anytime you get a tight end line in the 30s, I'm gonna take a look at it. Because just the average depth of target and the explosive or the lack of explosive nature of the position, makes me want to give that an extra look every time. 30 yards is 30 yards. If you're a superstar tight end, okay, fine. That's how it is. Michael Mayer, anomaly. But when it comes to Braden Willis, it's just there's a lot of variance in his performance. Last week against Oklahoma State, 3 of 6. Got 6 targets, 24 yards. West Virginia, the game before, okay. Again, variance, 0 targets. Didn't even look at him. Game before that, Baylor, 3 of 5 for 27. Game before that, Iowa State, 2 of 5 for 8 yards. So each of the 5 of the past 6 games, he hasn't come anywhere near it. Again, Texas, 2 for 3 for 25. But against Kansas's objectively soft defense, 5 for 7 for 102. So I just think the way he's trending, 5 of the last 6, he hasn't been anywhere near this line. And when you factor in, they're playing Texas Tech. And what I really like about each of these teams, Texas Tech is actually decent against the pass. They're horrific against the run. They're a bottom 15 team against the run. And so is Oklahoma. Interestingly enough, I think you're going to see plenty of ground action here. Amazingly, like you have a Texas Tech quarterback at Tyler Shuck, whose OU is 250.5 or right around that ballpark. Dude, when was the last time Zach Kitley quarterback or an air raid quarterback, for Texas Tech was at that range? But the reason why is because I think we see a lot of Taj Brooks and Sir Roderick Thompson as well as Eric Gray. And I think you see a ground war here between these two teams. Give me the under on 31.5, Braden Willis.
Awesome, Vaughn. What's your next play?
Let's go to one of our favorite fades. We're going UNLV minus 12 against Nevada. UNLV is the home team here, guys. We talked about them a couple of times with Doug Brumfield coming back. This season and their wins, UNLV has scored 52, 58, 34, and 31 points, all right? And the losses with Brumfield, they've lost by 6, 4, 7, and 6 points, okay? Now you look at Nevada, they lost their last 2 games by 27 and 38 points, which makes me smile. And then you look at their ATS record, they're 1-8 against the spread in their last 9 games. All right, this is a spot for neither team with nothing to look forward to. Neither team's going to the Bulls. Neither team has anything going on after this game. So this is a spot where they both want to end the season well. UNLV has a lot more reasons to end the season on a high note than Nevada does. And when we spoke about line functionality, how we just talked about the Duke and Wake Forest spread, how the books are telling you this is now a Duke spread, not a Wake Forest one. In this game in particular, this is a UNLV spread. Last year, Nevada laid 19 to UNLV, and they won by 19 exactly. Now the spread flips to 12-point favorite for UNLV. That's a 31-point spread flip, okay? This is a UNLV spot, so we're taking the Running Rebels at home.
Love it.
Woo. I like it. I'm going to go with Northwestern wide receiver, Malik Washington. He is at 41.5 receiving yards, at least he was before the show. And they're playing Illinois. Illinois happens to have the 4th best pass defense in the country. And when it comes to D, they've been awesome. Brett Bielema's been awesome on D. 30% success rate, 3rd in the country. 5th in EPA per play explosiveness allowed. Incredible. In the passing front, 5.5 yards of pass. Okay. And this is Northwestern we're talking about here. Okay. This is 4, 5 starting quarterbacks during the course of the year. Is Brent Sullivan? I don't even care. Like, it's at the point where if Northwestern is playing a credible defense, then I'm taking receiving unders. That's how it's going to go. I know that Donnie Navarro was also out there. We've taken him a few times on the show. He was an all-star. He's a Q&A all-star, Donnie Navarro. But with his number being so low, it was in the teens. I just got to go with Malik Washington, 41.5 is the highest one on Northwestern. Sure, he is their nominal number one. I just think they're going to get shut down today by Illinois. Give me the under on Malik.
Love that.
Love that. What you got next, Vaughn, for us?
Well, I'm going to stay in the same game here, actually. We're going to go with our under 40 theory here and go under 38.5 in Illinois Northwestern. There's 38s out there as well, which is more than playable, of course. We talked about it yesterday. We did split our under 40 bets yesterday, 1-1, which is fine. But this year, 14-9-1 to the under on 40 or less totals. 7-3 was last year, up 3.5 units. 2020 was 3-1 to the under. 2019 was 5-5 to the under, and 2018 was 5-2 to the under. So that is a 34-20-1 total unders from 40 or less with totals. So 63% on the year. You just look at these two teams. Eric hit the nail on the head. Northwestern is a terrible offense. They pride themselves in defense, similar to Illinois. But Northwestern ranks 128th out of 132 teams for scoring offense this season. They average 14.7 points per game. New Mexico, UMass, Colorado State, the only three teams in the country that score less points per game on average than Northwestern. So give me the under 38.5 in this game.
I like that under there too. Eric, what's your next pick? Tell me about the one in Washington. I was actually a little surprised to see you play the under here.
Oh, this guy's an all-star too. This guy's been.
Oh yeah, he's an all-star. He was an early. The thing is, he was an early season all-star. Sorry, I'm getting over cold.
You're good.
He was an early season all-star, but then they stopped listing him because Cameron Davis took over the running back room, right?
Yeah.
And then we didn't have any more Talapapa time. I love my Talapapa time, just like you guys do. Yeah. So I was delighted to see that DraftKings was nice enough to list Mr. Talapapa again, or was it FanDuel? I don't know. Whatever. One of them's got Talapapa out there at 45.5 rushing yards. And that's important. It's DraftKings. That's important because, last game, Talapapa had 10 carries. That's around what he gets. He's right in that ballpark. He splits carries with Cameron Davis. Done, signed, sealed. That's what he is. That's who he is. Okay?
Yep.
What happened last week is he went over his projection. Like, he rushed 11 times. Okay, this is Colorado. Everybody who's watching the show by now, I think we know what Colorado is. Yeah. It's the worst Power 5 team in the country.
Yes.
and if you want some of it, come get me. You know where to find me on Twitter if you say that they aren't. I am here for that conversation. He rushed 11 times for 107 yards and 2 touchdowns against Colorado. Okay? Forgive me if I don't see that as repeatable.
Yeah.
Because other than he had 10 for 70 against Oregon, fine. Okay. I get it. That was their game. Oregon State, 8 for 27. Cal, 4 for 25. Arizona, 10 for 18. He has been phased down a little bit. Cameron Davis, the previous game, had been much better than he was against Colorado. So, just Talapapa, it was his game. I just think they're playing Washington State. Okay, they're not playing the 130th rush defense in the country anymore. They're playing Wazoo. This is the Apple Cup. Wazoo, their defense is the best thing about their team. I know that everybody thinks, it's Wazoo. You got Eric Morris as the offensive coordinator. It's air raid. No, they've been running for over 100 yards a game with Nakia Watson, the Wisconsin transfer running back. Okay, this is not the identity of that team anymore. They will do both, and you know that because Cam Ward is a 250.5 passing yards, and I can't touch it. So I just think with Washington State's defense is a very good run defense. They've proven that they can run the ball themselves. I think it's going to be a little bit of a different game script that we've seen. I think you're going to have to see Washington throwing because that's what Washington State doesn't do well. They're not good against the pass. I think you're going to see that classic Kalen DeBoer, Michael Penix game script. We're going to be humming the ball to Jalen McMillan, Roma Dunze. I think that's what's happening here. I don't think they're going to try to challenge the interior of that Washington State line. I'm taking the under.
You got plus 100 money, too, on PointsBet compared to the minus 120 for 3 less yards on DraftKings. So that is line shopping at its finest.
Yes, absolutely.
Well done.
Go ahead and give me your next pick, Vaughn, if you have some more left.
Yeah, another under. Minnesota, Wisconsin. This is going to be a boring game. Very boring game, in my opinion. Shouldn't talk too much smack because we'll probably have one of these two teams, maybe both of them next year on NBC. But I would love to see these two squads, Wisconsin primarily. The Gophers got another backup quarterback. They're not as bad as NC State and what they've had to go through with 4 or 5 quarterbacks. But there's a guy right now, I can't even pronounce his name. It's like Ethan is his first name. Kalamananis, I think is how, I don't know. Something like that, ladies and gentlemen. But this guy,
Kalikmanis, yeah.
Kalikmanis, there you go. Eric's the guy for that. 46% completion percentage, 1 touchdown, 4 picks as a starter for Minnesota this season. When the Gophers have lost, they have scored 17 or less points in all those games. Wisconsin is a team that offensively and defensively has taken a step back from last season. I do think Wisconsin is the right side in this game, but I wouldn't be in a rush to play them at all on the spread. So, again, a total under 40. It's a conference game as well, Big Ten, and we know Big Ten teams love to run the ball and play defense. We're going under 36.5 here.
I think it's pretty cold in Wisconsin too.
Always cold in Wisconsin.
Sure. I was like checking the weather of all the Big Ten schools this week, and I was just like, "Whew, they got them down here in Florida."
They got here in South California.
I know.
I will finish it up here. We're getting close to game time. Let me drop this real quick. Jalen Brooks, wide receiver, South Carolina. I said California. He against Tennessee last week caught 2 of 3 passes, caught a bomb, caught a 50-yarder for 56 yards. But this is kind of an overreaction to that because, that was Tennessee and their horrific pass defense. This week, you got no big deal. You got Clemson, and we have Spencer Rattler. I love seeing Spencer Rattler explode last week because that means everyone's expecting that Spencer Rattler to show up against Clemson.
Yep.
Well, let me tell you something. Good luck. Good luck against Miles Murphy and Brian Brzee and Trenton Simpson and that ferocious front seven because they're coming, and we know that Spencer Rattler doesn't handle pressure well. That being said, Jalen Brooks, okay, he caught a bomb last week. Starting with Florida, 3 of 4, 25. Vanderbilt, 4 of 5 for 45. It's Vandy. But then Missouri, 1 of 2 for 5. A&M, 0 of 3 for 0. Kentucky, 3 of 4 for 37. Okay, so he, against the softer team, sure. Vandy, Tennessee, all right. Missouri, Texas A&M, Kentucky, Florida, he goes under. This is Clemson. I can't see Jalen Brooks going and putting up 41-plus yards against that defense. Yeah. I'm taking the under.
Yeah, you made a good point here. When Spencer Rattler exploded, I was praying that we got like 220.
Right, give me 230 against Clemson, please.
And it was 190, 199. I was like, no, this is a joke. I'm not going to take it. Do you have any more plays for us, Eric?
That's going to be a wrap, I think, for me. I think I've expended all my bullets.
What about you, Vaughn?
Particular show.
Yeah, I think my plays are all exhausted. I'll run through the recap.
Run through them real quick.
We got the banner at the bottom going too, but my best bet is going to be UTEP plus 17. That'll be risking 1.5 units. Also going to be playing the money line. We're on UNLV minus the 12 against Nevada. We're on Iowa State plus the 10 against TCU. We also played the money line there. We're on San Diego State plus the 2 in the money line. Our babies, North Texas minus the 14. Shout out to Colby. And then we're going under 38.5 Illinois Northwestern, or Minnesota, Wisconsin, under 36.5 in Illinois Northwestern. So we have 7 official plays and some money line sprinkles today.
Yeah, I got one more actually too. I want to slide in there. Have I talked about Roman Hemby, 73.5 rushing yards yet?
Not yet.
Because I want his under. Take it right now. They're playing Rutgers. They're about to start. I apologize. Roman Hemby under 73.5 rushing yards right now. That's on DraftKings, and they're playing Rutgers. Even though they are not obviously 4-7, they play really slow, and they have a very good run defense. I just think it's going to be a slog. Get that in.
Awesome. I'll run through my plays real quick. So we're going to go Vanderbilt plus 14, Drew Pine over 197.5 passing yards, under 57 points in Ohio State versus Michigan. Jermaine Burton, Roll Tide, over 40.5 receiving yards. We added the squad ride, Aiden O'Connell, over 274.5. And then I put a little sprinkle on Blake Corum, over 62.5, which is gone. But I posted it on Twitter for you guys. And the last and most important bet, Brad Thomas, over 5 different slot machines played on his birthday. Smash the over. Smash that over, baby. Eric, did you go ahead and run through all your plays while we still got a little bit of time?
Sure, I'll run through them. Obviously, we got Aiden O'Connell as discussed. Lorenzo Styles under 25.5, now down to 19.5. I'm sorry. Charlie Jones, 87.5, over Malik Washington, under 41.5. Braden Willis, tight end, Oklahoma, under 31.5. JJ McCarthy, QB Michigan, got it over 11.5. It's now at 16.5. Wayne Talapapa, under 45.5 yards, Washington in the Apple Cup. Jalen Brooks, under 40.5 receiving yards against Clemson. And Roman Hemby, Maryland, under 73.5 rushing yards against Rutgers.
Absolutely,
Great show,
guys. Great show. This is my absolute favorite weekend in college football, rivalry week. So I'm going to be tuned in, watching so many sports. If you guys are down in South Florida, hit me up on Twitter. I'm down to meet you up at the casino. Thank you so much. For Vaughn and Eric, I'm Brad Thomas. Have a great day and make tons of money.